you kind of had a place in mind already where you had maybe some unexplained yield loss. It persisted over multiple rotations through soybean and you weren't sure what's going on. And that's really one of the big problems with soybean cyst nematode is you can often have low to moderate yield loss with no above ground symptoms, which is particularly difficult to figure out what's going on in those situations. Fortunately, there's testing. We can pull a soil sample and we can see if there's nematode in there.
On that particular farm, it's on straight corn, soybean rotation every other year. And as I said, you know, the first year when it was in soybeans, I noticed that, you know, the beans just didn't look quite as good and obviously didn't yield quite as good as the whole rest of the farm. But then, you know, of course, it would have been, I guess, 2 years later, just noticed almost the exact same thing again. And then it was like, well, okay, it wasn't a one-off deal, I guess, that time. Like, there's got to be something here a little bit going on.
That's spot on. That's often what we do with growers who we say, you know, where are you struggling and where do you don't have an explanation for that loss. And that's where we start. And oftentimes it's soybean cyst nematode. Yeah. Just kind of laying low there. We have the SCN test results. So we've done 2 tests. The first is just checking to see if the nematode is there, counting how many eggs are there. That's what we count. Generally, the best time to test for this is around harvest time. So in the fall, that's when they've just completed their summer life cycle. That first test result came back positive for soybean cyst nematode. And what they found is overall a relatively low number. They just found 100 eggs per 100 cc of soil. Now, that's a low number, but with soybean cyst nematode, anything above 0, any presence at all is a problem because they can replicate so fast. Now, the second test that they did is called an HG type test. In this case, they did a modified HG type test. It's a way to give us more information about what ability that nematode has to overcome the resistance genes. The most important number is this female index over here. The problem here and on a lot of farms across the country is the female index on PI 88788. This field was 80.7%. So those nematodes are basically unfazed by that resistance gene now. And with continued use, they'll get even better. They've basically just been practicing on that resistance source over and over. And at this point, it's not really even slowing them down.
After seeing those test results, I guess it was maybe a little bit satisfying in the fact that it was kind of like, well, I think maybe I found my problem. You know, so that was good, but then in the other token, it's like, well, okay, now what do I do to try to combat it, try to fix it?
Keep doing what you're doing with you know, crop rotation. Thankfully, corn is a non-host crop. So we got a good rotation that fits the system that we can continue with. Talk to local advisors about seed treatment options.
Yeah.
That field might be a good spot to test some of those and see what's working in your area. And then watch for those resistance genes. Peaking is probably the best option that's available. Yield trials in Iowa have shown really good results. We've got a lot of data out of there that's shown that peaking is very effective. And I think your field where you've got a high female index on 88788, pair that with a peaking variety if you can get your hands on a good one, you might see a big difference there. So that would be a good option. And then the last thing, just keep testing, make sure it's not getting out of hand.